Mm, Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Today happens to be Baisakhi, the day Sikh religion took roots as a religion of the pure Khalsa. This is also the day today when Ramzan starts, the holy month of fasting. But then, is it only these two festivals that Baisakh, which is in the month of April? As a matter of fact, if we look at it, the whole month of April is celebrated in one way or the other on one day or the other by almost 95% of the world's population. Are you amazed? The whole world celebrates their festivals because essentially this is a period of harvesting, is a period of spring, and the rites of spring are rooted in the old ways of the world. Through mythology and god and goddesses stories, spring was celebrated at a time of renewal, rebirth, and passion. The earth is seen to be waking up from its deep slumber, and there's anticipation of spring, of hope. So, the celebrations in this month have been there since times immemorial. Way back, thousands of years back, in the Roman and the Greek era, it used to be a celebration of Veneralia, Venus, the goddess of love and death, of orchards and sexuality, was celebrated in Rome. Megalcia, the celebration of Cybele as a great mother, was also there. China, Japan, they have also celebrated this month as a homage to the goddess of tolerance and mercy, Kuan Yin. And in Japan, they call the Kuan Non. The same thing, celebration of life. In Rome again, there was a goddess of crops called Ceres. Her name is still today in our breakfast cereal. She developed a corn and taught the art of agriculture. And this day, today, April 13th, is a day of cerealia. Now, it's amazing that in two opposite parts of the world, diametrically, the same day is celebrated, Harvest Day. Then Ishtar, the Babylonian great goddess Star, a derivative of Inanna, the Sumerian goddess of heavens, is celebrated on this day. Week passes, Floralia, the goddess of flowers and flora, is celebrated in Central and Eastern Europe, Czechoslovakia, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, and so on. And then Celtic religion in Scotland, the Day of Witches, Beltane, May Eve, there is a celebration. So this is what was in the hoary past. But coming in this time, we have seen Easter was there, followed by Good Friday, followed by Easter Sunday and Easter Monday. And in Crete, there's a special festival, Harkans Multifestiu. There's a traditional village where Limnaria and Thassos is celebrated. Feast of St. George is going to be celebrated after 2 weeks. Tomorrow is Leonard's name day. So this is in fact to give you a worldwide picture. But when we come to India, it's no less. Celebrate Vaisakhi is celebrated and coincides with the festival of Vishu and Puthandu. Vishu is celebrated in Kerala and Tamil Nadu a day after Vaisakhi. It is celebrated as Bohag Bihu in Assam, Pohela Boisakhi in Bengal, Bivaksa in Bodoland, Jur Sital in Mithila, Desu in Tamil Nadu, Tululand, Putandi, and so on. So, Gudi Parva, here again in Maharashtra, Poila Besak. As a matter of fact, there's one thing which combines India is this day, call it Gudi Parva, call it Bihu, call it Jur Sital as they call it Bihar and Mithila, call it Bisakhi, and then Chaitra Sankranti, Navratri, Chaitra Navratri is celebrated again on this day. And then who can forget Ugadi, Happy Ugadi, observes as the day when the Lord Brahma created the universe and is celebrated in Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh. So this day is specific for celebrations. But is that only that? No, it's much more. As I said, this is the day when Ramzan starts, the day of fasting, of cleanliness, moral cleanliness, and abstinence, renunciation, what we call minimalist attitude. But this is much more because, as I said, though 95% of the world population celebrates the month of April in one way or the other, on one day or the other, for the Sikhs, this is a special day because in the history of religions, for the first time, a pluralistic religion was created. Amazed. I'm not talking of monotheism and multitheism, where one God and more gods. I'm talking of the pluralism, what we call diversity today, the pluralistic society. And that is what Gobind Singh sought to create. People don't talk of that aspect, and that's the main. But one thing more, which people often forget, why did Gobind Singh choose Baisakhi? It was a well-planned action of Gobind Singh. According to some historians, Guru Nanak Dev, the founder of Sikh religion, was not born on Kartik Purnima, as is commonly believed, but was actually born during the month of Baisakh. And this is also referred to in Pachitra Natak by Guru Gobind Singh himself, when he says that Guru Nanak appeared, he doesn't say Guru Nanak, he says Noor appeared in Baisakh. So maybe this was his homage to Guru Nanak. This fact alone makes the day even more significant for the Sikh people. Then Guru Amar Das, the third Guru of Sikhs, initiated in Goindwal in Punjab an annual congregation on Baisakhi Day. So what Guru Amar Das started a celebration of Baisakhi that was in fact institutionalized by Gobind Singh as a creation day of Khalsa. And I call it a creation day. Coupled with this tradition, he also was strategist and he saw that this is a day when the people celebrate Baisakhi because the harvest is over and they are free. So why not this time attract them to Anandpur Sahib? Give them something to look for in the times of the political instability. And on this day, he chose to create Khalsa, the pure religion. And since that day, Baisakhi has come to be associated with Sikhism in one form or the other. So the month which was and has been a sinecure of the eyes of the world population. As I told you, 95% Christians celebrate in this month Easter, Good Friday. 65% of the population, 2 billion Muslims are celebrating Ramzan. Again, 1.2 billion Hindus are celebrating the Chaitra Navratri and the New Year Day. Today, the Vikram Sam starts, the Vikramic calendar. So, this day, which already was being celebrated all over the world, got a certain significance in producing the sixth largest religion of the world. So this is a combination, or rather, this is a regeneration. Hinduism, which was under attack by Islam, and the Muslim kings were trying to terrorize at times. Sometimes they were benign, sometimes they were not. But when Gobind Singh came in, there was a time of a real, shall I say, torture for the Hindus. They were in danger of extinction. And he prompted his father, Guru Tegh Bahadur, to sacrifice himself. So he wanted to consider Sikhism as a rebirth of Hindu culture, Hindu philosophy in a new form. And at the same time, he wanted to convert or reconvert the whole concept of Hindus being not a martial race. They are martial tribes like Marathas, Rajputs. But he wanted to create a force that could be deemed to be the military arm of Hinduism. Now, Sikhism is not, as I said, is the first pluralistic religion of the world. The first five disciples, Panch Pyare, they belong to different societies. One was a Kshatriya, one was a Brahmin, and the other three were from the depressed classes. So that shows, and then after they were baptized, Guru Gobind Singh himself goes to them and asked them to baptize him. So this was a game changer in a time. And then they were told that they have to live by compassion. And the creed was not Hinduism, creed was not anti-Islam. Credo was मानस की जात सबे एक पहचान हो, that humanity is one and united. And the people who go against that are deviationists. They are not human. They are exceptions, and exceptions have got to be removed. So Sikhism was basically to protect the innocent, the downtrodden, and was a protest movement. As a matter of fact, this is where the Sikhism has failed. It was a protest movement against oppression, against exploitation. But it itself, as it happens with any formalized religion, degenerated into the set norms. But not to the extent, since it's the newest religion, barely 500 years old, it hasn't set into that hard norms, but still it is setting in that. So this day is a day, basically, of celebration and regeneration. And then Ramzan. I do not consider Ramzan to be a festival closely related to Islam. This is the time of the month when the celestial process of waxing of the moon starts. And you see a sliver of silvery moon in the distant horizon, beginning of the holy month for the Muslims. And this is the month when Quran is said to have been revealed to Prophet. And devout feel blessed that they can celebrate this month. And the celebration is again, look at the difference. Normally, you go to Eid, another celebration is all gluttony, food, clothes, material things. Here, the celebration is not show off. Celebration is not gluttony and the feasting. Celebration is not the ornaments and showing off clothing. No. Celebration is a fasting and prayer. It's a time when hunger and thirst and piety become your companions. Can you believe this is something in Islam which impacted me? Again, there's a deviation. This concept is only for this month. The moment the month is over, most of the people revert back to their own thing. The piety is no longer there. And the hunger and the thirst, the basic needs of the human beings. And this is a month for the Muslims when you reflect about existence, its purpose, and hereafter. Then self control and anger management are practiced, and compassion and empathy rule. It's a time when you give alarms, generosity, gratitude. And when you realize that life is transient, and then you're going to make your maker, whosoever he may be. I may not believe, but the believers believe. So you are accountable. Now, this is something very important. You are held accountable for your actions. As a matter of fact, Ramzan is a time when you, for the believers who practice it, to detoxify your body and soul. Maybe Muhammad was able to foresee that body and soul go together. You can't have a healthy mind. Or you can't have a healthy body if you don't have a healthy mind. So Ramzan, the ninth month of the Islamic calendar, then it culminates in Eid al-Fitr, the celebration, breaking the fast. And then, but then again, look at the similarity and commonality. Is the tradition of fasting only in Islam? No. Now, these 9 days of Navratri are fasting. Ekadashi is fasting. In Christmas, Lent, 4 days up to the Easter Sunday are fasting. So the same month we have fasting in the three major religions of the world. And of course, Vikram Samti is fasting. In Jain, it's a regular feature. Baha'is fast for 19 days. And in each case, the belief is unjustified one that fasting teaches you self-discipline and helps you come closer to God. I don't say come closer to God. I say it helps you realize yourself. And you wish if only we could all strive to be better human beings in the remaining months too. So this month basically should be deemed a month of a regeneration, bidding goodbye to the cold and the waiting winter and welcoming the sunshine, the hope of a new life. It's a month of empathy, of love, of dedication. It's a month of purity, signifies brotherhood and non-jealousy. I'm not saying no, I'm saying non-jealousy purposely because jealousy is the green-eyed monster that's the root of all trouble. So Baisakh, the month of festivals, though the festivals are all over the world, but the complete form of these celebrations gives a new hope to the masses. The only thing is, people have to understand that these are not the transient things. These are meant to be lessons. And if you fast today and forget tomorrow, or as say, you celebrate the creation of Khalsa, but you are not Khalsa, you're not pure, then the whole purpose is lost. So you have to inculcate the values for which the celebrations are there. And the inculcation of those values will definitely make the world a better place to live in. But nevertheless, on this day of celebration, I wish all of you happy Bihu or happy Gudi Pava, blessed Ramzan, and a very, very enjoyable Baisakhi, the beginning of the new month of hope, of regeneration, of life. And let this be a permanently fixed in our minds that these values, these virtues, are not only to be talked about this day, but are to be a part of human life. Thank you.